We're going to start this morning, representative from Guatemala, who we're really honored to have with us today. I think this is his first visit with us on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day and with the Aging Committee. So welcome, Minister, and if you would.
Thank you very much, Susan, and good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished guests, and dear colleagues. It's such a pleasure to be with you today. And it is also an honor for me to participate in this event on behalf of the group of Friends of Older Persons at the United Nations in New York. The group is comprised by Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Honduras, Indonesia, Kenya, Malaysia, Mexico, Panama, Peru, Qatar, Slovenia, South Africa, Trinidad and Tobago, Uruguay, and my own country, Guatemala. First of all, allow me to thank the organizers for convening this event in commemoration of the 7th anniversary of the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. INPEA, or INPEA, the NGO Committee on Aging, ANDESA, the group of friends has proudly joined to be also a co-sponsor in this event. The commemoration of this day was officially recognized by the United Nations in 2011 with the purpose to raise the world voices to fight against the abuse and suffering inflicted to older persons. The theme of this year's observance of the World Day, moving from awareness to action through a human rights-based approach, is trying to remind us that we need to take actions to tackle elder abuse and restore the rights and dignity for all those affected or at risk. Elder abuse is a global and growing phenomenon, although its true magnitude is still unknown due to the lack of data, awareness, and underreporting. New estimates from World Health Organization indicate that 1 in 6 persons over 60 is suffering from abuse. This means 141 million people worldwide. This number is alarming. If this group of people suffering from elder abuse constituted a single sovereign country, it would be among the top 10 most populated countries between the Russian Federation, which has 143 million people, and Mexico, which has 130 million. The number of older persons suffering from abuse could rise up to 320 million if no actions are taken, according to the OHCHR. The World Health Organization estimates that up to 80% of cases of elder abuse are not reported, which means that the number is as much as 5 times higher. One of the most common forms of elder abuse is financial abuse, being it the authorized, illegal, or improper exploitation or use of funds, property, or any other resources of the older person. It is a form of violence against older persons and severely affects the enjoyment of their human rights, particularly the right to live free from violence and discrimination and the right to have a life of dignity in their old age. It also triggers poverty, hunger, homelessness, and other types of abuses, and constitutes an issue which deserves the attention and immediate action of the international community. In this regard, we need to take actions to combat this serious problem, and for that, it is imperative to consider that older persons are specific right holders who have contributed and continue to play an active role in the many areas of development of our societies. Preventing and also ending all forms of abuse against older persons is crucial if we are to attain the Sustainable Development Goals. In addition, Target 17.18 of the SDGs includes a clear call for all relevant population-based indicators to be disaggregated by age as a means of ensuring that the impact of development policies on persons of all ages will be monitored and that persons of all ages will have a better chance to participate in and benefit from development. Moreover, member states further committed to taking into account what is related to population trends and projections in national, rural, and urban development strategies and policies. Dear friends and colleagues, men and women experience old age differently. While both older men and older women face age-based discrimination, older women also face the additional cumulative effects of gender-based discrimination throughout their lives. The combination of discrimination on the basis of age and sex puts women at more of a disadvantage in old age than men. Older women continue to suffer from discriminatory laws and practices that render them more vulnerable to abuse and violence. In this sense, we express our deep concern about the fact that neglect, abuse, and violence against older women often go undetected. It is fundamental in this regard to foster the capacity of states to more effectively collect data, statistics, and qualitative information disaggregated by sex, age, and other relevant factors as necessary, such as marital status and disability, in order to better assess the situation of older persons and to encourage the international community and the relevant agencies of the United Nations system within their respective mandates to support national efforts to provide funding for research and data collection initiatives in order that older persons and violence against older women to understand in a better way the challenges and opportunities presented by population aging and to provide policymakers with more accurate and more specific information with regard to a gender perspective on aging. To conclude, the group of friends reiterates and renews its commitment to promote and ensure the full realization of all human rights and fundamental freedoms for older persons, including by taking measures to combat discrimination on the basis of age and sex, as well as neglect, abuse, and violence, and to address issues related to social integration. Designing and implementing policies and programs, as well as devising adequate national, regional, and international legal frameworks that effectively and specifically promote the full enjoyment of the human rights of older persons and allow their full social inclusion, as well as their participation in social, economic, cultural, civil, and political life without any restraints and free from all forms of discrimination and violence, will lead to ensure their dignity, empowerment, and their ability to fully and effectively enjoy their human rights and fundamental freedoms, actively participating in their societies and contributing to its development. As the OHCHR expressed in the last session of the open-ended working group on aging, our population is aging. By 2050, 1 in 6 persons in the world will be 65 years or older. It is neither imaginable nor acceptable to turn a blind eye to human rights abuses and violations that threaten daily 141 million of people. Finally, allow us to recognize the valuable efforts by civil society in improving the situation of older persons worldwide, and to reiterate that the group of friends of older persons will continue to work tirelessly to promote the rights of all older persons around the world. Thank you very much.
Are heard by others today, and they're taken to heart. I think the world will be a better place for older persons very soon. We really do appreciate the support of the group of Friends of Older Persons in New York, and we know there's a group of Friends of Older Persons in Geneva, and hopefully soon one in Vienna, and together we should be able to meet our goal quicker. Thank you very, very much. And now we're going to turn to the chair of the Committee on Aging, Ms. Janet Siegel, and she will give a little welcoming address. Janet?
Do you want to turn it on, or how does it turn on?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's.
You went off.
I went off, okay. I want to say on my behalf and the behalf of the NGO Committee on Aging, this annual observance of WIAD, which is a direct outgrowth of MIPA, has always been important, but I think now the focus on action to prevent abuse and/or neglect of older persons, we've gone beyond saying it exists and how important it is. And I think that's a wonderful focus. And I wanted to just say on our part, the NGO Committee on Aging is committed to raising awareness of elder abuse and seeking ways to prevent abuse and neglect of older persons. We invite you to join. I just happen to have a brochure here that Cynthia over there has many more. We invite you to join the NGO Committee on Aging and help us work on this issue and on other issues related to the human rights of older persons and creating a society for all ages. We want to again thank our colleagues of the Group of Friends of Older Persons, in particular the Minister for Guatemala and the mission, as well as the mission from Argentina, and all the speakers here today who are here in person or on video. I want to also thank Cynthia and Susan for organizing this program, and I turn it back to you. Now it's your turn. Okay.
Thank you. Take a moment. Are you off? You have to turn yours off. James, would you do that? Yeah. Oh, we're fine. Okay. And now, now that we've heard from the illustrious and intelligent and wonderful leader of the Committee on Aging, we will now go to Europe. And we have a video presentation by Natasha Todorovic and Milutin Varasevic, who are co-national representatives of IMPEA. And they are with the Serbia Red Cross. Amazing people, amazing work that they've done. And this year, the recipients of the International Rosalie S. Wolfe Memorial Award in Preventing Elder Abuse. And I will start the video if I can just, yeah?
Is that elder abuse is not a problem that can be solved by attacking it from any one side. It is a complex problem, one that touches many layers of our society, and trying to solve it from only one perspective would never be effective enough. This is a way early on we decided to focusing on collaboration, connect important partners, and allow them to focus on the problem, while bringing their unique perspective, capacities, and strength to the table. Over the years, we have worked on bringing together the civil society, the academia, and research community, both health and social care services providers, human rights bodies, the media, and decision makers, as well as older people themselves. Connecting these stakeholders horizontally has two main goals: raising awareness on elder abuse and combating against stereotypes that ultimately lead to elder abuse, as well as improving policy framework related to protection and prevention. But vertical connection are equally important. This range from local level and working with citizens themselves in order to raise their awareness on the issue, as well as improving the existing mechanism for protection and prevention. Working with the national level and working regionally with organizations and networks of civil society, human rights bodies, as well as researchers from region, and ultimately working on the global level.
From Natasha, and some of the things that they're doing there, we have a more extensive list of the programs that they've been doing for 18 years and the successes that they've had. Not only do they do self-help groups with older persons, but they also do workshops on human rights with older persons. And they're working on research. Last year, you may remember, that she presented some of the first research on financial exploitation, certainly the first research in Serbia last year, and they're continuing to another issue this year. So they're very active, and thank you for your attention. You did hear her mention how she collaborates and works with the governments also. And the Office of Protection, we have a very short video from the Office of Protection because we're trying to show the collaboration between NGOs and governmental and other entities. So, We had very encouraging words from the commissioner, so we're going to address all forms of elder abuse and end them. And I think if we follow her lead, we probably can do at least a good part of that job. So we're going to now move to North America, and we have a very interesting presentation with 2 or 3 people who can give you some information on this, but the lead person is Linda Fieldstone, and she is going to talk to us about intergenerational conflict resolution model. And we also have Judge Michelle Morley here with us, and Sue Bronson, who are also working, I think, from Minnesota. Sue is from Wisconsin. That's close. And so, Linda, if you would please.
Thank you. Do I wait until it turns? Go. Okay. It's an enormous honor for us to be here at the United Nations to talk with you on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day about elder caring coordination, developed specifically to address the autonomy and advance the autonomy and guarantee as much as possible the safety of aging persons. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you to the International Federation on Aging and all of you for your work in that direction. We look forward to seeing you again at our symposium and our workshop at the International Federation on Aging Global Conference in Toronto in August. Please understand if I am looking at my notes, it is because I don't want to leave anything out in this brief moment to help you understand why it is so crucial to provide elder caring coordination to aging persons and their families. Let your mind wander off to the warm and aromatic kitchen of an aging person, surrounded by loving family members focused on the aging person's care, safety, and well-being. Now imagine if you are an aging person losing independence, feeling scared, sad, lonely, perhaps confused and isolated from loved ones. And instead of at the kitchen table, your grandchildren are home while your family members are seated opposite each other in a courtroom arguing over your care. The tables between them becoming a battleground for past vendettas, blame, and ridicule. Meanwhile, the aging person seems to fade in the background, just wishing, I wish all my family just got along. Elder caring coordination is a solution for the aging person's anguish and the family's aggressive actions. Elder caring coordination is a court-ordered dispute resolution option focused on reducing family conflict, minimizing risks, abuse, neglect, exploitation, and respecting and preserving the dignity and the quality of life of aging persons. For this to happen, the aging person's voice must be at the center of conversation, yet all voices of concerned family members need to be heard. How does that happen? A high-conflict dispute resolution specialist called an elder caring coordinator addresses the non-legal concerns, so the court does not have to micromanage the aging person's care. The elder caring coordinator helps families refocus on the aging person and set aside agreements peacefully. Families are referred to elder caring coordination through court proceedings upon the request of the aging person, family, attorney, or guardian, or when identified by the court as high conflict, easy to identify by their multiple motions to the court. The elder caring coordinator helps the family develop more effective communication and problem-solving skills, and develop and implement a care plan that is flexible according to the transitions of the aging person. Family conflict regarding aging persons is an issue without borders. It's a global issue, which is why we're so excited to be here today. Unattached to economic, racial, religious, ethnic, or national boundaries, The effects of conflict is a societal issue involving not only the quality of life, but the length of life of our oldest population, growing exponentially as people are living longer. Research shows that health is compromised when caregivers are overburdened, treatment is delayed, decisions are obstructed, and their safety is jeopardized by family conflict. And it doesn't stop there. We know the cumulative effects of prior and current generational conflict is harmful, resulting in a lack of social capital for both aging persons and children, and accrued interpersonal skill deficits. So even the youngest generations benefit through elder caring coordination, as it reduces the tension of their parents, helps ruptures in the family relationships, and provides a dignified model of conflict resolution for them to integrate. Elder caring coordination is a package deal. When we help our aging loved ones, we are helping the entire family, including those youngest generations. It is hard to believe that our attention to the abuse of aging person lags 20 years behind our focus on child abuse. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 of every 6 people 60 or older will suffer some form of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. Only 1 in 24 incidents reported, even though spouses and children are most likely perpetrators, makes it impossible for us to know what those real numbers are. Uncovering the truth is especially difficult when there is high conflict, because these family members have 40 to 60 years being experts in keeping family secrets. Elder, you know it, right? Elder caring coordination becomes the key to unlocking those mysteries and safeguarding aging persons from conflict, threats of harm, and risky situations. This trauma-informed, person-centered approach helps guide families through a supported decision-making process that capitalizes on their strengths and the strength of the aging person and those providing care. Elder caring coordinators are court-ordered to work with families for up to 2 years, so they have the opportunity to engage the family members and to provide ongoing screening with sensitivity to abuse, neglect, and exploitation through unfolding conversations. The elder caring coordinator helps them develop a support system, connect them with available resources, and notify appropriate authorities when warranted. So how is elder caring coordination developed? The Association for Conflict Resolution convened 20 well-respected United States and Canadian organizations who worked with the Florida chapter of the Association of Family and Conciliation Task Force, comprised of 20 statewide organizations, all who recognize it is time to protect aging persons by engaging their families in the process of care. The elder caring coordination process is being researched at Virginia Tech University to inform best practices as it develops. The Elder Justice Initiative on Elder Caring Coordination provides the framework needed to easily replicate pilot sites to foster the development of elder caring coordination across the globe, with continuous support, including standardized procedures, forms, and training, a website for more information, eldercaringcoordinationfl.org, but you have it on your flyers right here, so that you can contact us to get started. We are ready to bring elder caring coordination to aging persons and their families in your communities. What are some of the benefits of elder caring coordination in contrast to the cost of ongoing litigation, or worse, not having any oversight over what is happening with the aging person? Time, money, and health are saved as conflict is reduced within the privacy of the elder caring coordination process outside of the court. Instead of incurring court-related fees individually, those participating all share in the cost of the elder caring coordinator. At times, the humiliation of being labeled incapacitated is completely avoided in these cases when the family is able to work together. The aging person and family can respond to issues quickly without having to wait for open court dockets to address emotional, non-legal issues. Risks and safety issues are identified so that the aging person can be protected from harm and vulnerabilities. Best of all, families become better role models for their next generation when they're able to resolve disputes and engage in supported decision-making, respecting the need for safety and autonomy of their aging loved ones. So now, think of how you would want the story to unfold if it was your parent, a grandparent, or you in the middle of family turmoil. Do you want to spend the last chapter amidst accusations, blame, and heating arguments of those you most love? A situation ripe for abuse and neglect? Or would you prefer to have comforting time with family members collaborating to meet your needs and keep you safe? Remember what parents want most. Just for their family members to get along. Elder Caring Coordination honors that aging person's wish by giving their family the tools and support needed to create a legacy their aging loved ones can feel proud of for generations, a legacy of peace in their families. Thank you so much.
Well, I don't think that I need to express the way I felt about your vision that you were giving us, the visual to look at. I'm sure we all have similar feelings, but I can see that this elder caring coordination, although you're working with the family, has implications, and wider implications, to go outside of the family. And I hope that that's something that you explore and that others explore. And we're going to have a little bit of time for questions and answers, and unless there's a compelling question right at this moment, we're going to save them until after Jack Kupferman presents his presentation so that we can judge our time a little better. So is there anyone who feels something right at this moment? Because if you do, okay. All right, well, we'll go on. But thank you very much, Linda, and your associates. And we'll be back to you in just a short minute. And now we're moving to an issue that came up about a year ago with one of our members in the Committee on Aging, who is the president of the Gray Panthers, Jack Kupferman, who took action in a very serious issue that is part of the issues that are being brought up in the open-ended working group this year, part of the two themes, certainly long-term care and palliative care, and also the autonomy and independence that Linda was talking about. So Jack, can you just give me half a second, because I'd like to introduce Rosemary Lane, who's the focal point on aging, who just left, okay? And so we have her associate here, Amal Raphael, who's been a great help to us. Thank you, Amal. And certainly to welcome the representative from the Mission of Argentina, Ariel Gonzalez Serafin, who was the first secretary in the third committee, first secretary, and has long been a very, very dear friend of aging in our committee, and helped very much make World Elder Abuse Awareness Day an official UN day, and we thank him for that. So we'll go to Jack at this moment. Jack?
About the elder care coordinating, what a great concept. And I also wanted to say thank you so much to MPEA and to all the organizers of this year's WIAD observance, that you honored Gray Panthers and all of us by asking us to participate on your theme, From Awareness to Action. At first, I wasn't clear how we fit into that, and then Susan Summers was very clear to say what Gray Panthers has been participating in is clearly working towards action. Now, it's a great honor to be here, and I'd being with Grey Panthers, many of you around the table remember Grey Panthers from back in the day, and of course you'll remember Maggie Kuhn, who was one of the first and most vocal activists of the 60s and 70s. She was the one who had been the poster person for the rights of older people nationally, locally, and globally. And because of her work, Grey Panthers has a seat at the table, and that we have our accreditation at the United Nations. So, and what we're doing, what we're going to be talking about today, which is the rights of people in nursing homes, was one of the activities and causes that Grey Panthers championed back in the day. So this is just a continuation of that work. We've been fighting for the rights of older people for decades, whether it's about at the global level with the Stakeholder Group on Aging and the NGO Committee on Aging, at the local level with regard to any number of initiatives regarding older persons and fighting against ageism, and at the state level, which is what we're going to talk about today. Today, we'd like to share one of our most satisfying recent accomplishments. What we're going to be talking about is protecting the rights of people in nursing homes. People in nursing homes are perhaps the most vulnerable of the most vulnerable. And what we did is that we sent a letter to the Comptroller of the State of New York saying that the enforcement mechanisms on penalties and fines for nursing homes in the state of New York was not being adequately administered by the Department of Health. Sent the letter. A couple months later, I get a call from the Comptroller's office. Mr. Kupferman, would Grey Panthers and some of the other advocates like to come in for a meeting? We think that this is a really important issue, something that we feel needs to be reviewed at the state level because it's important to ensure the rights of people in nursing homes. But of course. So then we did our meeting and they said we went to conduct a performance audit. The Comptroller's office has two kinds of audits. One are financial audits and the other are performance audits. Performance audits are a little bit more difficult to do because how do you audit somebody's decision-making processes? So, but yet this was of importance to the Comptroller of the State of New York, sparked by our letter. And they were looking at how existing regulatory and statutory schemes either impeded or assisted the assurance of the protection of the rights of older people in nursing homes. Now, it's been of great pride to us that it took about a year for this audit to be completed. And we've been doing our work with less than a minimal budget. And we've had enormous successes despite that, and something that we're greatly proud of. Now, the audit, many of you have gotten a handout that that describes what the findings were, what happened, and then the follow-up. The audit found that the government agency that's supervising nursing homes in the state of New York was not doing an adequate job in fining and collecting penalties from nursing homes in violations. So the Department of Health undertook, after the findings were made, and it became a global phenomenon, the report went global, the Department of Health revamped their system. And they assigned more personnel and more resources, including a more effective database and comprehensive pulling things together from a number of different arenas to assure that there would be a more robust review and enforcement of penalties and fines against nursing homes in the state of New York. The Comptroller's office had promised us that they would do a follow-up report, a follow-up audit to see how things would be going after these items would have been implemented. Now, interestingly, the Department of Health adopted all of the recommendations of the audit. That is an unusual circumstance, meaning that most government agencies, when they're audited, they're going to fight They're going to say, you know, you may be right here, but you're not right here. The Department of Health said, you've done such a thorough job. This is so important. We're going to, and the recommendations are so clear and implementable. We, the Department of Health, are going to adopt them all. Now, that by itself is a huge accomplishment. The follow-up audit, which took about a year, also found that those new systems that have been put into place by the Department of Health are working well. This is a huge step forward for the rights of older people in nursing homes in the state of New York. Now, this is an opportunity for us to prevent elder abuse at the institutional level. We often talk about elder abuse in the family, we talk about elder abuse on an individual level, but we don't always look at it at the institutional level. This is one of those opportunities. Now, also as part of our research during the first year, we had reached out to every state in the country to say that this audit is going on. This is something that Gray Panthers did this. This is something you might wish to consider. We sent it to the governors, we sent it to the controllers of every state in the union. And 2 of them said, this is something of significance. We're going to look into it, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I haven't followed up with those states, but nonetheless, this is an instance of awareness to action. And we're trying really hard to make sure that the little bit of human resources and the passion and the scrappiness that represents Gray Panthers is able to go to make some real change. We are so grateful for this, for the partnership between Gray Panthers and the Comptroller's Office. Obviously, the Comptroller's Office wrote up the document that you have and asked us to distribute it. So, additionally, the Comptroller's Office is looking at other issues with regard to rights for older persons in long-term care facilities. So, this has sparked even further. We'd like to just say that we're so proud to be part of this observance today, so proud that we were a spark. We are not the experts. We were the facilitators here. And we hope that this spurs others on to looking at ways, creative and new ways, to address and prevent elder abuse for older people everywhere. Thank you again for letting us share this important finding, exemplifying awareness to action. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Jack, and the Gray Panthers and your associates, and I know that you had some terrific interns also, so intergenerationally speaking, we owe you a lot, as that's an important issue to us. And one of the things you mentioned was reviewing statutory schemes. And so it's our hope that, and will be the direction, if we get a universal document, when we get the universal document, that part of the national responsibilities will be to go through their national legislation and looking for areas where things could be improved, perhaps where there's discrimination, perhaps where there's a failure, to address certain issues and rights of older persons, which will benefit all. And thank you. You've certainly shown us a great example, and stick with it. So we're going to move now to Asia, to the Republic of Korea, and to a very, very short video from Soo-Young Han, who is the co-founder of Care Rights, an NGO in Seoul. That first she was an MPEA representative, and we helped and mentored her to get her NGO status with the United Nations, and also to have it registered as a legal NGO in Seoul. And she's doing work on end-of-life rights. And you'll hear a bit from her right now. Thank you. My assistant.
Trustee assistant.
Briefly, what Soo-Young was saying, she heads this NGO Care Rights, which is end-of-life care and the right to die, not the right to die, but to die with dignity. And that's her focus point. and she's living in a culture where often, particularly an older woman's rights or wishes are not heard or listened to because the family makes the decisions, which is not always bad, but there are times when other decisions might want to be made, and she's working to have the autonomy and the independence of the older person recognized. They passed a wonderful law, the Well-Dying Act, 2 years ago. It's implemented fully now in 2018, is what she was saying, and that went on for many years that they worked on that. But there's some parts of the Well-Dying Act that don't allow a person who doesn't have a direct relative to have that person act for them or to, have certain end-of-life decisions made. So there's some holes in it, and her association is working to amend that law so that the older person, particularly older women's rights, are more uniformly received and taken into account. So these will all be on the internet, on both the Committee on Aging and the IMPEA website, and it will be quite a bit louder. It was loud when it came. So now, may I just ask you again, are there any questions for our guests with the elder care? Yes?
I do.
Can you push your button?
That elder care coordinating is court-ordered. And so without getting too much into the weeds, could you tell us who makes the determination for the court to be able to order it? And then is it a shared expense, or is it one or the other or both? Judge Morley.
I'm Michelle Morley. I'm a circuit judge down in Florida, and I am one of the 8 pilot sites in Florida. And so the case essentially identifies itself, or the family identifies itself. When you see family members are second-guessing each other and filing motions and seeking emergency hearings and that kind of thing. And so when I see that kind of behavior beginning, I will refer the case to elder caring coordination. The cost of elder caring coordination is shared among all of the people that I order to go. So typically, it's the elder and the family members who are in conflict.
But go a step above that, how does that circuit even get the program in the first place?
How do we begin a pilot site?
Correct.
Contact one of the 3 of us, and we will help you identify people to be trained as elder caring coordinators. We will provide the training for them. We'll train the judges in identifying the cases. We will help you to train somebody to act as your pilot site administrator. That will be the liaison between the elder caring coordinators and the judge, and link or match the family to the most qualified of your elder caring coordinators, talk about fees and so forth, and share that information with the judge. And then as the case progresses, typically the judges don't see the families again because they're now learning how to make decisions themselves. But if there is somebody that is so obstreperous that the elder caring coordinator needs some support, they will ask for a status hearing, and the judge will see the family and, essentially take them by the collar and say, hey, look. But in the meantime, the pilot site administrator is the liaison and will help the elder caring coordinator problem solve as much as possible until they feel like they're at their skill end, and then they want to come before the judge. Is that in response? Okay.
There are some circuits that have gotten funding for this on their own, and that way the expense of an elder caring coordinator is already paid for, just so that you know that that is a possibility as well.
There's another question done.
I'm not sure if I missed it.
Would you identify yourself, please?
What am I doing?
Yes. I'm Erica Daw, and I'm with ARP, the Office of International Affairs. My question is, and I'm sorry if I missed it, could you speak to how many states have this program currently, and is it available in New York?
Not in New York yet, but we're happy to talk to you. We have pilot sites in 5 states right now. Maryland just got funding to start one.
That makes 6.
That makes 6. Toronto is coming along. California is coming along.
So existing states are Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Minnesota, and Ohio, and Maryland.
Maryland.
Great, thank you.
And by the way, we did talk to a judge here this morning. But we'd be willing to talk to anyone else that you suggest.
Thank you. So those are the questions? All right. Can't see behind there. So let me apologize for the sound. Believe me, it was quite loud at home when I was playing it, and it was quite well done. But as I said, you'll have access to it. And I think that Soo-Young might be here for the open-ended working group, and we'll go into another side event and go into deeper information with regards to that act. So now we're going to turn to our friend, and we're going to have some closing remarks at this moment from Mr. Ariel Gonzalez Serafin, First Secretary of the Permanent Mission of Argentina, who will talk to us a bit about moving forward together, because that's really what this is all about. NGOs and governments and other members of civil society, academia, working together with older persons themselves. Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you very much, Susan, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me apologize for being a little bit late. I wanted, first of all, to convey the greetings of Ambassador Garcia Moritan, the chair of the Open-Ended Working Group on Aging and permanent representative of Argentina, who wasn't able to be here with us today, and also to express our appreciation to the NGO Committee on Aging and INPEA for organizing this very important event. We're always very happy to support it year after year to try to move forward in our discussions from the UN and from the state level with regards to the issue of the prevention and elimination of elder abuse. And we really like this year the topic and the focus of the event, from awareness to action, and also the special focus placed at the issue of addressing this from a human rights perspective. As you know, Argentina chairs the Open-Ended Working Group on Aging, which is the main body of the UN, subsidiary of the General Assembly, in order to enhance the promotion and the protection of the human rights of older persons. You are also very much aware of the current status of the debate. Unfortunately, we are not there yet in a position where the entire international community at the state level is convinced on the need of developing an internationally legally binding instrument to protect the rights of older persons. But we are moving at a very slow pace, but at least we're moving into that direction. We are completely convinced that we have already exhausted the stage of raising awareness of this issue, and that we should move into action, but sometime at the political level that is not that easy. But the focus of today's event was really important to try to see on a bottoms-up approach, rather than having a big international instrument that sets the standards for states to implement policies at the national level. The examples that were brought up here today are very good examples on how hard it is, but at the same time, in some cases, how easy it is just to create awareness of these issues. Sometimes it's just a matter of approaching people, and perhaps you approach 52 states and only 3 answer, but those 3 are a huge advancement and a huge progress to try to create this common awareness that there is a need, an urgent need, to address the issue, particularly of elder abuse, but more broad with regards to the situation of the protection of human rights of older persons. With regards to the way forward, I don't have any magic lamp, so I'm going to convey some comments with regards to the work that we do here at the UN, particularly in the framework of the open-ended working group on aging. As you know, a couple of years ago, the working group modified somehow its approach to the discussion and the working methods, and we are now focusing on particular areas where further attention is needed with regards to the enjoyment of the human rights of older persons. And we started that last session in 2017 when we addressed the issues of equality and non-discrimination and violence, neglect, and abuse, when we went over and had a very interesting interactive discussion with regards to the magnitude of the phenomenon of elder abuse, which I am sure that for many delegations was something really surprising and that they were not that aware of. And this year, the next session, which is going to take place from the 23rd to the 26th of July, we are going to be focusing on the issues of autonomy and independence and long-term and palliative care. But as you may think, all these issues are completely interrelated and interdependent, particularly if we address them from a human rights perspective. I mean, the elder abuse sometimes has a direct relation or its basis in the denial of an older person to make decisions in an autonomous and independent way. Violence and discrimination are forms of abuse of their human rights. So all these issues are completely interrelated amongst each other, and we need to bring them up constantly in our discussions at the Open-Ended Working Group on Aging. So we are looking forward very much for your active participation at the working group. On this modification of the working methods, we are trying to make the sessions more interactive. So we need to have the most valuable input and to create those trigger questions and discussions, not only from member states, but also from civil society organizations, academia, national human rights institutions, and all other stakeholders. And I wanted to finally draw your attention to a very important part of the session that we're going to have in July during the last day of the session, and you can go over to the website of the Open-Ended Working Group and find the program of work there, as well as all the submissions that member states, civil society, and NHRIs and UN agencies presented for the session. On the last day, on Thursday, the 26th of July, in the morning, we're going to have an interactive discussion with regards to normative inputs or normative elements in order to address the issue internationally of the two focus areas that we went over the last session, one of which was the issue of violence and neglect and abuse. So that is going to be a very important discussion when we are going to talk about what would be the minimum standards that we should have in order to internationally protect older persons from elder abuse, which is a completely global and of very high relevance phenomenon. So we're looking forward to have you there and to have a very fruitful discussion. Sometime civil society and non-state actors are the ones who spark the discussion there and push us member states to really have a very substantive discussion. So we're really looking forward to your active participation there. We are all working in a very special year, which is the 70th anniversary of the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So we have a little bit more pressure to try to deliver some results. It's going to be a long process. It is a slow process. I think that we are at a stage where it is a matter of not if we're going to have an instrument, but more of a matter of when we're going to have an instrument. We're all going to have to be patient. Right now we're having the Convention of State Parties of CRPD, the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and we also know, as an example, that took a very long time to have it, but we don't have to despair. We need to keep being optimistic and trying to move forward in that sense. So once again, thank you very much for all of you, especially for the panelists and their very interesting presentations, and to INPEA and the Committee on Aging for putting together the event. Thank you.
And thank you. We won't despair. We'll miss you, though.
Yes.
But I know the world will be a more peaceful place, and there's no better diplomat than you. And so that makes me feel very good. But I did save maybe the best for last. And I would like to acknowledge Myra Sorto, who is our chair of the group of friends, older persons here in New York, and a remarkable event in her country. Would you like to say something about the Inter-American Convention ratification this in time for WIAD?
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you for organizing this event. We are very happy to chair the group of friends of older person and for being here as a co-sponsor of this event. Well, I'm happy to say that my country, El Salvador, ratified the Inter-American Convention of Older Persons, which is a very important instrument in our region, in the Latin America and the Caribbean region. And, well, we hope that other regions and other countries follows the steps of our region. Thank you so much.
Concludes our program, and I know that the judge and her colleagues will have a few minutes. The judge has to leave for a train, but her colleagues will have a few minutes after if there's any particular questions, and we'll make sure you know how to get in touch with them. They have some information there. We also have their website. Okay, we'll hand that out. So thanks each and every one of you for coming and joining in this commemoration of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And we hope to see you next year when we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Thank you.